I probably am going to break some British traditions. I haven't figured them out yet. So just charge it to my Americanness and to my heart. So I'm Gina Paige. I'm the president and co-founder of AfricanAncestry.com. We are the pioneers of genetic ancestry tracing for Black people all around this world, which means we are the first. We are the first to use DNA, genetic technology, to reconnect us to where our ancestors were before Jamaica, before Virginia, before Louisiana, before Cuba, before Britain, before wherever. That's the work that we've been doing for 20 years. I and my business partner, a Black geneticist, Dr. Rick Kittles, decided to do this work because the community said, we want to know where we're from. We know we're African. We love being African. History tells us we're West African prior to the slave trade. But where specifically are we from? And so that's the work we've been doing with a team of Black people. We're completely Black founded, Black funded, Black woman led. We're all Black everything. And so I welcome you here. Thank you. Thank you. To the celebration of our 20th anniversary. How many business people are in the building? You all know to last 3 years in business is amazing. To last 5 years is unexpected. To last 10 years, you're a unicorn. We've been here for 20 years. And that's something that we're proud of, and hopefully you as our community are proud of as well. So when we decided to come here, we're based in DC, we've been to Oakland, California, we've been to Yaoundé and Douala in Cameroon, we've been to Accra in Ghana, we've been to Chicago, Illinois, we've been to Brooklyn, New York, we've been to Atlanta, Georgia, we've been to Freetown, Sierra Leone, and now we are here in London to celebrate with you. But we are African people, and we understand the importance of not just going into a place where you don't know anybody and expecting the whole world to just do what you want them to do. We understand the importance of working together in community. And so we called on Tessa Mason, who you just saw give our safety briefing, who is also a member of the African Ancestry family, is also a member of the state of the African Diaspora, is also a member of the ADDI, which is the African Diaspora Development Institute. And we said, how can we come to London? How can we show up? And she brought all of her organizations to the table, along with the Ethiopian World Federation, along with the Black Secret Project, Education Project. When we walked in and my father saw Robin Walker, he's like, wow, I have your books on my bookshelf. So we didn't just come alone, we came with heavy hitters. As well as one of our American partners who is building their business here in the UK, ATKCO. Shana Atkins actually is not here today because her father has some health challenges, but she also has been an integral part. So today is an afternoon, an evening of celebration, of learning, education, information. We're going to have some brief presentations from each organization that I just mentioned. We're going to have a culture chat conversation moderated by Tessa, in which all of the organizations will participate. And then, for all of you where's the African Ancestry family? Are y'all in here? Yo, that is not how the African That is not, I don't care where in the world you are, that is not how we do. We're the African Ancestry family. All right. So we have two people who will be joining the African Ancestry family today. I'm going to be revealing their ancestries to them and you for the very first time. They're at the end of the program, so I know they're like, could you speed it up? Could you speed it up? Because they've been waiting, and they, right, Priscilla? They want to know. And we'll have time for questions. We have African Ancestry test kits. My team member, our head of operations, Simone Jones, is here. You met her when you checked in. So I want you all to get ready, open your minds, open your hearts. The ancestors have made this possible, and so we thank them for the blessing to be able to be here today. Now I'm going to introduce our first, you see I'm not used to this, I don't have all my tools. Okay, all right. I'm going to introduce our first partner, the Black Secret Education Project. I'm sure you guys know who they are, but I want to do them a respectful due. The Black Secret is the finest Black history and African heritage course online. The Black Secret aims to engage, enlighten, and empower people across the world with our comprehensive program, the Black Secret Education Project. Through their in-depth lessons and content, they will bring you all aspects of African heritage and Black history in one convenient place, easy to access at any time of the day, so you can learn at your own pace and leisure. Learn the true histories of Africa's greatest civilizations with world-renowned historian Robin Walker. Let's give it up for Robin Walker.
Okay, so what is the Black Secret? We are revolutionizing adult education for Black people across the world. We are the Black Secret. When you've gained a sense of self and origins using what African Ancestry is teaching, the next stage is for you to master your history. The Black Secret is a fundamental empowerment concept. We are quietly empowering the people. So if you see this logo, that logo, you know that's us. So who are we? What do we offer the general public? Well, we've got 3 directors. There's me, that fine gentleman over there, that's George. Everyone say hello, George. Right, this gentleman here, this is Danny. Everyone say hello, Danny. All right, also we have our strategic partners. Some of you are in the room, our community, our subscribers. I'm seeing subscribers in the room. They're known as the TBF Progressives and our associates. So this is who we are. So what's our objective? We want to produce adults who can move themselves forward and the community forward. We want to engage people across the world with our program. You could be in London, Toxteth, Harlem, Kingston, Atlanta, Abuja, Nairobi, Accra, elsewhere. And we want to engage you in 2 ways, with our TBS Education Project and with our TBS Business Project. You see, the Black Secret will be revealed in 5 phases over the next 12 months. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3 is giving people a full overview of Black history from ancient times till now. And these are the classes that already exist. 55 hours of content divided into 36 seminars. The next phase is the business project. This will drop in November. This will drop next month. And subsequent phases will cover mathematics, science and technology, religion and spirituality, music and literature, art and architecture, great thinkers in the social sciences. So what's our content? Basically, you can see the classes that we do: medieval, ancient, modern. So basically, 36 classes, 55 hours. So how do we want the community to engage with us? Well, ultimately, we want 1 million African heritage homes all over the world to subscribe to our program. every African Heritage University to subscribe to our program. We want entrepreneurial people to sell our program as affiliates. In the room, are there any affiliate marketers? Okay, we've got one, we've got two. If you haven't spoken to us already, speak to us. And imagine what 1 million empowered households could achieve. So, we are offering a free book showing the new concept of Black history and African heritage. If you go to our site, www.theblacksecret.co.uk, and click where it says, Get Free eBook 100 Black History Facts. So the big question now is, why did we see the need to create this education program in the first place? Why did we see the need to do that? Well, there are 3 reasons why we study our history. The first reason is to confront limiting beliefs. What you believe and what you think shapes how you feel. How you feel shapes what actions you take. What actions you take shapes what results you get. And what results you get shapes what you believe and think. So it's very important that that is a positive feedback loop. A second reason is to build a team. I have to see value in you. You have to see value in me. We have to see value in each other. And where's that value? It's in our shared history. And the third reason is so that you've got something to comfort this child. No doubt this was you in school, your head bowed. Why is your head bowed? Because this is what black children feel like after being taught their ancestors were just slaves. And no doubt that was you. So your child comes home to you. Mom, Dad, my teacher says that where we fit into history is we are the slaves. But moms know better, don't they? And you're thinking, shut up. Dads know better, don't they? Well, if you don't know better, what do you need to do? Join the Black Secret. But there are people who see our history and heritage is something they must oppose. You know this person? Yeah, he hasn't grown horns just yet. Florida rejects social studies textbooks that mention social justice, taking a knee, and other content of concern. Florida Board of Education approves new Black history standards that critics call a big step backward. But it's not just in the United States. Let me show you what's going on here. Do you all remember this news story? Industrial Revolution iron method was taken from Jamaica by Britain, which talks about the role of enslaved Africans in Jamaica producing a metallurgical technique. And that technique has been called the court method. Remember when this came out? Let me show you what happened to the academic that wrote that article. This is what happened. There it is. UCL faces pressure to block under investigation lecturer from demanding reparations. The lecturer that wrote that, and you can see it's a European, she is now under investigation. Are we feeling this? Are we feeling this? All right, so remember this? The Black Secret Education Project, we are quietly empowering the people. Have you claimed your free book yet? Come on. Well, if you haven't done it, you need to claim your free book. Now, for some of you, that's dipping your toes into Black history. But there's more. Would you like to learn more Black history and African heritage? Go to our site, www.theblacksecret.co.uk, and subscribe. It is just £35 or $46 per month. For that, you're going to get the 55 hours worth of content. Does that make sense? But we do have a special offer. Now, why do we have a special offer? It is Black History Month, UK. Does that make sense? So we have to represent for the community. So we are offering a 48% discount. So you can lock in a 48% discount, £18 per calendar month or $23. You can lock it in at that price, it stays at that price, and when we add more content, it will stay at that price. The classes are filmed in a London classroom. They're all online, and you can watch them at your convenience. Supposing you want to watch them at 10:30 in the morning, you can. 6 p.m., 3 o'clock in the morning, you can watch 10 minutes now, stop the class, come back, complete the class. Does that make sense? Yeah. Totally at your convenience. And you've got full access to the lecture notes. And thank you very much, that's my time. The Black Secret Education Project, we are quietly empowering the people. Check us out, www.theblacksecret.co.uk. I'm out.
The next organization you've already met, the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, was established on August 25th, 1937. So I thought 20 years was a long time. 1937 in New York by Dr. Malaku E. Bayan on the divine instruction of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor, I don't have on my glasses, I'm trying to be cute. His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I of Ethiopia. Its aims include to promote love and goodwill, maintain the integrity and sovereignty of Ethiopia, to disseminate the ancient Ethiopian culture, to correct abuses, relieve oppression, and not only save ourselves from annihilation, but carve for ourselves a place in the sun. Please welcome Empress Makeda.
We're in London, and we are here today to celebrate African ancestry. Okay, so I just want to say thank you to Gina and her team for inviting us, and for the other partners. I'm really, really grateful to be part of this team, and I pray that we can go forward as a team and do yearly events. And we can say that because the Ethiopian World Federation has been in existence since 1937. So it's a long organization. So the presentation is initially it's going to be an introduction to the Ethiopian World Federation and the officers, which I've done. More introduction with a video, so you don't hear us talking all the time. There's a little bit of the history prior to the beginning of the Ethiopian World Federation. Then there's the organization structure, how to join the federation. There's application forms at the back, and also at the back are a couple of books, pamphlets, that gives you more information about what the organization does and what its achievements are, especially since 2022. I can't tell you everything because there's too much, but this presentation is just a snippet, really, of the organization.
Maybe we should let the family know why the organization was started. This was when the war was going on, and it would be given in more details, but it was basically a way of galvanizing Africans to support the war for Ethiopia against Mussolini and his atrocities that he inflicted on Ethiopia. EWF was formed to bring the ones together who were interested in supporting Ethiopia, and it was very instrumental in bringing black consciousness together at that time, both in America, here, and in the Caribbean. So that was the purpose of starting EWF, and it's such a wonderful thing that it's still going today, and we're here to make it, to give it life, basically, and it's for all black people.
And we spoke earlier about ancestors. We really do have to give them praises and show our respects, because those ancestors that survived are the reason why we are here today. You just imagine the amount of the family who can't even exist because their ancestors perished. They perished over the boats, they perished by hanging, they perished in all kinds of manners of ways. And as a result, their descendants are not in existence. We are the fortunate ones to be here today. Our ancestors were the strong ones.
The fittest of the fittest, really.
So the presentation continues with benefits to the membership, some testimonials, and a call to action. As we said, our names are Empress Makeda and the first Vice President, Sister Sheba Levi Stewart. The 2023 EWF Incorporated Local Free, these are the executive committees. Sorry, this is the executive committee. The executive committee is made up of, and before I go into that, I'm just going to explain how the presentation is going to work. I'm going to talk about what's going on presently, and then go back and do history, so that you understand why the organisation was created. So we're going to talk about the present and then do the history afterwards. So on the executive committee, we have an election every year. We have the president, we have the first vice president, a second vice, a recording correspondence secretary, a treasurer, a financial secretary, the chaplain, sergeant at arms, and 3 elected members from the membership, so that the members are in the executive representing the members. Okay? And there we are this year, being sworn in. We took our oaths. Our oath is to His Imperial Majesty that we will guide, what's the wording that we say? Protect the organisation, protect the Constitution, protect the rights of black peoples of this world. The structure of the organisation, we have an International Executive Council. They're based in New York. So although we have a local in London, our headquarters is actually based in America. So we have a lot of linkages with African Ancestry and all our American cousins. And so you have the council, the International Council, and you have the locals. The locals are all over the world. You'll see, I'll bring up a slide in a minute that shows you some of the areas where the locals are based. So within our local, for instance, and it's the same all over the world, all the locals are structured the same because we work with a constitution, and the constitution gives you the rules about how the organisation must work, right? So in every local, there is an auditing committee, there's banking, there's complaints and grievance, there's the education committee, publicity committee, membership committee, sick committee, ways and means, information, women's auxiliary, medical unit, music unit, and juvenile units. So that shows you there is enough things, activities for members to do. Members can sit on any committee and function in that committee. Okay, so here's a graphic of where the locals are worldwide. They're everywhere. In the Caribbean, in America, in Europe, in Africa. We're about to charter a local in Ghana. So this graphic, although you probably can't see it very well, it shows you that we have locals in Ethiopia, quite a few states in America, Jamaica, there's a lot of locals in Jamaica actually, just all over the world. In the UK, we used to have one in Birmingham, we've got one in Manchester, and we've got one in London. The one in Birmingham unfortunately broke down, but I heard they're about to restart, so that's interesting. So, when you take the pledge to the organisation, when you join the organisation, you take a pledge to defend and protect. And the reason why it's defend and protect will become clear when we talk about the history. The Constitution, its aims are to promote love and goodwill, to maintain the integrity and sovereignty of Ethiopia, And remember what I said, Ethiopia is the whole of Africa. So when we say Ethiopia, you say Africa. To disseminate the ancient Ethiopian culture, Africa. To correct abuses, to relieve oppression, and not only save ourselves from annihilation, but to carve for ourselves a place in the sun. As far as we're concerned, we're not supposed to be here. Me personally, I know I'm not supposed to be in the UK. So I have put steps in place to carve for myself a place in the sun. My place in the sun currently is Ghana. Okay, so I've got citizenship, I've got land, I've got a building being built as we speak. As far as I'm concerned, every black person should have a foot in Africa and a foot anywhere else they want to be in. Have the option. And especially, I'm going to say it, especially women. We need to have the options. Have a foot in Africa, a foot anywhere else you want to be. So now we go back to the history. The reason why this organisation was created in the first place. Schools won't tell our children this, but we will educate you about this, and you will also learn about this in the Black Secrets. There was a battle between Ethiopia and Italy. Guess who won? Ethiopia! Schools don't tell you that. Schools don't tell you that Africans beat Europe in a major battle. So this was in 1896 in northern Ethiopia between King Menelik and the Italians. And Ethiopia checked Italy, stopped them from having a colonial place in Ethiopia. And we're very proud of that. The lion is not only roaring. So the lion represents Ethiopia, the Lion of Judah, and Mussolini being chased away. This is a very short video, and I've been told I've only got 3 minutes. And I'm not sure if I should play it now, to be honest. It's less than 5 minutes. What do you think? It's so interesting, honestly. I'm going to play it. I'm going to get into trouble, but I'm going to play it.
Tell them Solomon told you.
All right? Can't open it, so it's not going to play.
You're opening the internet. We don't need the internet. I'm sorry, sister. Can I just everything is on beer recreation.
Yeah, forget the, it's not doing the video.
Okay.
So listen, I'm sorry, we're not going to do the video, but you know what? Everything I tell you is actually on the internet. Everything, if you're interested, do some research. I implore you, because it's interesting. Our history is so interesting that it just blows people's minds when they realize that we are more than we think we are. Help! Help! It's not moving. Yeah, so basically all that video is telling you is about what happened, that Italy aggressed against Ethiopia, and the Ethiopians came together, all the various warring factions like they're doing now, came together and actually agreed to fight against the Italians. All right, so it looks like we have to go this way instead. So,
Just press the down arrow.
who we have here, obviously from your right, your left To the right is His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie. He sought to modernize the country through social, economic and educational reforms, very similar to what we've heard tonight about our education, very important. We have Bishop Richard Allen. He was a minister, educator, writer, one of America's most active and influential black leaders at the time. We have Dr. Malaku Bayin, who was the emperor's cousin, and the emperor requested him to enlist African Americans to work in Ethiopia. One of the things that video would have told you was that before the war, 10 years before the war, His Majesty asked Dr. Malaku Bayin to encourage black Americans to get involved in a dam project. So His Majesty was thinking about the fact that black people are in the diaspora, we're everywhere, but not in Africa. His aim was to bring Africans back home. And then we have Rabbi Ford. In 1920, he composed the song Ethiopia Awaken. So that's part of the anthem that we sing. The Federation is a non-profit governmental organization dedicated to promoting unity and empowerment among people of African descent. That video that you didn't see, it tells you that the dam project was in 1927. His Majesty was asking for black people, professionals especially, to come to Ethiopia to live and work. So a lot of the times we hear, oh, Ghana's inviting people, they're the first country. No, it's not true. His Majesty did it in 1927 and he gave land. In 1935, that was when the war started between Italy and Ethiopia. In 1936, the envoys from America went to visit His Majesty to let him know that people in America are very sympathetic to the cause in Ethiopia and they want to help. They raised money, they offered themselves to even fight in the war, and so many other activities. In 1937, the Voice of Ethiopia was established. That was in January 1937, and then in August 1937, the Ethiopian World Federation was established. So I'm just giving you a little bit of a timeline.
Pardon me, Sister Empress, we have quite a few other presentations to get to.
Thank you. Let's move on very quickly. I'm going to skip some of these. The message here is that by joining the Ethiopian World Federation, you can actively contribute to the advancement of the African community and make a positive impact on the lives of black people in London, in the UK, and the world. The organisation operates with members, committees, and it's very democratic in the way that it operates. Members have votes on most things that we do. Even coming to this event, it was a process of actually getting the membership to allow us to come and agree. But it's a process, anyway. To join the Federation, there's application forms at the back. Do pick one up if you're interested and fill it in and send it back. The email address is below, EWFinklocalfree@yahoo.com. We've talked about joining, the benefits of joining, good networking. You can make a positive impact in the community, and there's educational resources and opportunities to do many things, such as being involved in events. Also, some of the things that have happened is that His Majesty actually gave black peoples of the world land in Shashamane. And these are some of the international executive members who visited that land. As you can see from the sign behind, it says the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated Shashamane Land Grants. It was graciously given by His Imperial Majesty in I can't see the dates, but We have our executive members, our international executive members going there and advocating for black peoples of the world who live in Shashamane. There's a community there that's been there for a long time. And we are responsible for advocating for talking to the authorities there to ensure that our people are safe. These are some more activities that the International Executive do. I'm going to skip through it. And this is the last slide, call to action. Join a global community dedicated to promoting Ethiopian culture, African culture, and heritage. Access exclusive events, workshops, and networking opportunities. Receive updates on the latest news and developments in Black African affairs. And make a difference by supporting initiatives that uplift African communities. One of the activities that we're particularly interested in is repatriation. We also have a specialist on reparations as well. Sister Sheba, give us a few minutes really of what it is that you're doing. Just a few minutes.
Is this something that we could explain at the end? Because we have several other organizations that still need to present.
Sure.
Can you explain that? Because you have a table, right?
Yes, we can explain it at the end. It's
Okay,
basically ancestry and heritage.
Okay?
Thank you. Let's give it up one more time.
Yeah.
Kenya Papa Mitchell and Sam Mountain. As I see, I don't know. And so I carry a senior share money summer.
Yep.
Before money summer.
Yep.
Nana, we are from I am Monanano and a share, all him in share. Money summer. Madama, yes, share your carbon me. At the Papa Kwani here, Elmo.
Yep.
Madama, Manana Maba Monimi, is Shakwan or
Hey.
I dear Bessel, so hard to perfume the Amupen Mano.
Yep.
Madama, Moma Mumbai,
Yep.
Obi Marshal and Yaba, and Yaka Mabu. Madama, Bibia, Bessa, Bemusubia, Mupamumai. Your mamma and son. Mumbai Mumbai. Bibia, be the A said, Yapasi, a koyachi. Obi Marshal Yaba. Obi wa nim baby owo Madaroma Mombasu Yadaye near Timin Koyachi near whom baby are free near Famwa Africa na Africa sign your crab
Yep.
Obi ma awon kwa your crew mode Nasu Yentimi Madaroma Mama boy na one did a queen in our pay food and I must so one day na one Timmy and what a chilma. Na won't Africa, ya mabere ni yamane na ekofia ya nyabiaka. Wada wa monyin sana. Ni paboni ni e ka no ko na Africa fo ye ka ye mbo ma enye area. Mo ba ni mo ni triso. Wada ma. Ni tira hai ni tira ase odo e de ehwehwe. Ye ka ye mo bo mu e odo nko a. Mo ma ye do. Mo ma ye tiase. Mama Isika, near to be from Africa, near British Africa. Mama Africa, come on, you. Africa unite. When you say, why is this worry? The more you did that, Namoko soldier. The can't come, Naka, Yadi, Mufran Rasamado, no Bayinano. So, you know, Nea. Musa Fanra, say Masuzwa, Momanica, yeah.
Darling, at this point in time, anybody here gathered who wants to have can then. Any takers? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. How y'all feeling so far? Good. Have you learned something? Have you signed up for the Black Secret Education Project? That's a really good discount. It beats our discount. Our discount is 20%, which is still really good. Okay, here's Tessa Mason. Thank you, Tessa. Let's give it up for Tessa Mason.
Thank you, Gina, thank you. And greetings again to everybody. Greetings to our dignitaries, kings and queens. Thank you for coming today. My name is Tessa Mason, and I was indeed blessed to meet Gina in Sierra Leone. I am already part of the African Ancestry family. And that was where we met. We've been in touch since. For the purposes of this presentation, I'm representing the state of the African diaspora. You're probably thinking, what is that? Well, the African diaspora, as we know, are persons of African descent who are not on the African continent, not physically on the African continent. And they make up over 300 million people. These people can be found, like ourselves, here in the UK, people of African and African descent here in the UK. They could be in other European countries. They could be in Brazil or in other South American countries. Those of you from the Caribbean, I know Britain has a large Caribbean community. Those in the Caribbean, not physically on the African continent, are of the African diaspora, where there are black people, African people in India, China, just about anywhere. They are of the African diaspora. And the state of the African diaspora seeks to represent the interests of this demographic. So we're already familiar with some of these people here. What contribution have people in the African diaspora made in the UK? Well, they have had contributions such as just representing where they may be from, representing their background. They've made contributions in respect of economics. I'm sure there have been many occasions when you have sent financial aid to your family back home, wherever back home may be. Persons of the African diaspora in the UK have contributed in terms of the culture here in the UK. Arts, politics, science, technology. These are all the types of contributions that persons in the African diaspora have made. They're not physically on the continent of Africa, but they've definitely made a contribution to Africa. Just coming to the African Union. The African Union has, I don't like to use the word divided, but you'll see from the picture here that the African Union has identified different regions of Africa. So we have the northern region of Africa, we have the southern region of Africa, west, east, central, and the African Union has also like a sixth region of Africa, which is indeed the diaspora. Well, the state of the African diaspora is a state within the sixth region. It is one of the states within the sixth region. This is who the state of the African diaspora is. The state of the African diaspora is a government. It has a prime minister, Dr. Louis George Tin, and it has two vice prime ministers. Indeed, I'm aware that one of our vice prime ministers are here today. This is the state of the African diaspora. It was launched in July 2018, where the African Union had given our prime minister a mandate to create this government. It has a constitution, it has a parliament, it has ministers, and it has over 100 ambassadors all over the globe. This is the state of the African diaspora. So what sorts of things does the state of the African diaspora do? Well, I've got a couple of pictures here from 2 British newspapers talking about, this is just an example of some of the activities that the state of the African diaspora participates in. You've probably heard of the Benin Bronzes. Have you not? Yes. Yes, indeed, we all have. Well, you know, we've heard that we know that there were thousands of artifacts that were stolen from the continent. We know that some have slowly been returned. And the role of this, just an example of what the state of the African diaspora has been doing and continues to do, is that the state of the African diaspora lobbied for those artifacts to be returned. This is just one of, just as I say, a humble example of one of the aspects of what the state of the African diaspora does. Indeed, this is an extract from one of our newsletters where it's making reference to our Prime Minister. The Prime Minister of the state of the African diaspora was at the time behind the French law which allowed the restitution to Benin of the first cultural artifacts. He was also behind the decision of the Belgian government, who finally accepted to restitute the stolen artifacts to the Democratic Republic of Congo. This, as I say, is just an example of what we as a state have been doing. And for me personally, I'm one of the UK ambassadors at the state of the African diaspora in respect to artifacts and the restitution of artifacts. My parents were born on the island of St. Vincent in the Caribbean. Not sure what that is. You might have to help me with this. My parents were born on the island of St. Vincent in the Caribbean. And you're probably aware, you may or may not be aware, that the original Caribs used to reside on that island. More recently, in the 1700s, they merged with African people. We know that African people, were on the islands before Christopher Columbus and all the other colonizers got there. But more recently, the Carib community formed what we call the Garifuna community, those people that merged with African people. And our last king, His Majesty Chief Joseph Chatoya, sadly was killed by the British after putting up quite a resistance in 1795. Prior to that, as I say, there was huge resistance that was put up by the Garifuna people, to the extent that the island of St. Vincent was only colonised for approximately 30 years, whereas we know that the African slave trade persisted on the Caribbean islands for hundreds of years. So, His Majesty is the national hero for the island of St. Vincent, and it just so happened that I, a few years ago, stumbled upon his artifact at the Museum of the Docklands. And this is it pictured here, actually. Carried out some research, found out that it was owned by the West India Committee, well, owned. Okay. By the West India. You finished my sentence, thank you. Okay. Spoke to the High Commissioner here in London, the St. Vincentian High Commissioner, and also another one of our ambassadors, Ambassador Bell, who's in Manchester. We had a meeting with the High Commission about how we can get our stolen artifact back and, return it, have it returned to the island. After a few years, cut a long story short, after a few years, we have been informed that the artifact can be returned on loan for 1,000 years. Well, when I spoke to the High Commissioner, he did say there's no way it's coming back. There's no way it's coming back. So the point that I'm making is, this is just an example of what we do at the state of the African diaspora. What else do we do? What are our other achievements? Well, we have launched a royal chamber that comprises of multiple organisations of African kingdoms. And you can imagine that with such a collaboration, there is huge potential for all sorts of things. We have a Pan-African bicycle tour, and that happens on an annual basis, just as we have the Tour, I think it's the Tour de France. We have a Pan-African bicycle tour. This is what we've organised. I believe we're in the process of, or we've already established a space and satellite programme, and I believe that is headed up by a former president of Mali. So that is taking place. We have launched the SOAD University. We've also launched the opportunity for persons like yourself to buy into the SOAD digital identity card. We're in the process of setting up the SOAD International Court. Indeed, I shouldn't say in the process of, I believe it has already been formed. Indeed, there is a class action going through now concerning reparations. I believe it was Emperor Makeda that made reference to reparations. We also have a SOAD Agribusiness Commodity Exchange. I was listening to a YouTube video not too long ago. King Joshua Makunga, here in the conscious community, are probably aware of His Majesty. He has often made reference to a Pan-African stock exchange. Similarly, we've set up a SOAD Agribusiness Commodity Exchange for the benefit of African farmers, the buying and selling of agriculture and produce. What have been your positive expressions, your positive experiences of Umoja as an African living in Britain? And how can the African black community collectively build on those experiences?
Greetings, family. We're talking about unity and our experiences of unity. We've seen in the black community in the UK, when things have happened to us, we come out and we demonstrate. For instance, just recently, a young lady was going into a hair shop and some altercation happened, and to cut a long story short, the owner of the shop practically strangled the black woman. I'm sure most of you have heard about this already. And the community came out in their numbers. It was a hair shop in Peckham. And even today, they're still demonstrating outside of that hair shop. Why? Because if that woman who'd gone into that shop was white, or Indian, or some Chinese, the owner of the shop, who was Indian, would not have strangled her. But he felt he could strangle a black woman. So, evidence of unity is when things happen to us. We cry out, and our community come to our aid. One of the things also that's happening that's really crucial and devastating in the black community at the moment is our black young men who are running around stabbing each other. We have shown evidence of unity. Black groups, youth groups coming together and talking about the problems. Some groups have actually put some of the plans into action. There are groups who go around speaking to young people, actually taking their knives from them and plugging them into services and activities that are much more constructive. But we shouldn't wait and only come together when there's a crime. We mustn't always be reactive. Those are just two little examples. I can give you tons. We mustn't always be reactive. We need to be proactive, like this event today. This is a proactive activity where we're putting things in place for our community to plan and put more actions in place for our future. So this event is a beautiful example of umoja, unity.
Thank you, Empress. Robin, any thoughts?
Unity is, I want to get to the community on a level where when you look in your diary and you look at what you're doing Monday, what you're doing Tuesday, what you're doing Wednesday, what you're doing Thursday, the different black organizations you're working with, and actually those organizations are putting money in your pockets and creating projects with these organizations. And it's a situation where we become mutually reliant. I rely on you, you rely on me, and make sure that what we do is not only good, not only excellent, but the community at large benefits from that mutual reliance. And I want to get it on a level that we are all living like that, so that we are all mutually dependent.
So I don't live in the UK, but I'm going to answer. What I would add in terms of unity, we see it in the US, and you probably see it here as well. There's a division between Africans, and people of African descent. And much of that division is rooted in negative stereotypes and lack of information. And so African Ancestry's goal is to help us view ourselves differently as Black people, as we know we need to from the Black Secret Education Project and others, and to view Africa differently. And so when you can be proud of your Africanness, then you can create an even broader community among those that you live with.
Thank you very much. And I just want to add to it a little bit and say that given the fact that we are here gathered in this room shows the unity, and this is the kind of expressions that we need to exhibit day in and out. Earlier I made a point to Gina, I think this particular program has brought us here in the UK together, and it's an expression of unity. It has taken Gina to come from the United States, invest in others, or others can invest in you, so that we are empowering ourselves. Yes, there are talks about reparations and everything, but before that happens, we're still working on it, but before that happens, your £1, your $1, we want to bring them all together and use it to empower ourselves. Because economically, if we are free, then we are really, really free. Because there's no way that you're going to say, I'm free from whoever is feeding me. If they are going to do budget support, the West is going to support Africa with respect to budget support. The West is going to feed Africa, irrespective of the fact that we have vast arable lands. We are really, really not free. So we have to pull ourselves together in terms of technology, expertise, finances, everything. We pull ourselves within and invest within our community, empower ourselves, and that way we become fully independent, really, really independent. Thank you, Dr.
Review of the time. Thank you, panel, for your contributions this evening.
What we're about to do. Let me get to my handy dandy. I told you who we are. We're African Ancestry. That's not going to work. And this is the African Ancestry Identity Experience. But before I do that, because I keep forgetting, so, when we travel the world, it's not often that there's somebody in the building who has also been traveling the world, and our paths cross at the same time. And there's a sister here who is a role model for me in DC. She owns several businesses. She employs Black people. She builds us up through the arts. She builds us up through entrepreneurship. And I wanted to recognize her because she also is, Sister Empress talked about claiming your land and claiming your home at home. And so Sister Juanita Britton, who we also know as Busy Bee, she has claimed her home in the country of Ghana and was installed as a chief 12 years ago. She is Nana, and I'm going to butcher this, but it's all love. Nana Botwe Adobeya I of Timber Quanta. If you could please stand, Sister Nana, and thank you for being here to support us. All right, so who are we? What makes us us? I talked to some people who here is taking an African Ancestry test again. I need to know where my people are. All right, is Cameroon in the building? I forgot. Y'all don't do this in the UK. Okay. I'm gonna move on. And those who has taken a DNA test, period? Yes. Okay, great. So this is just a level setting for everyone. I hope all of you will then become African Ancestry family members, but no pressure. Okay, so we're all people, right? We have these family trees that have thousands of branches. Some of the branches we know about them, we can go back to a great maybe. Some of the branches we don't know anybody. And then some of the branches we know a little bit. And so what I wanted to show you here is when you go back just 10 generations, there are more than 1,000 people on your family tree. That means there are more than 1,000 lineages or branches that make up who you are. And so when you want to understand yourself, you often, we're just going to roll with it. You often start tracing one branch at a tree. Are there any genealogists in here besides Priscilla? I know you know a lot about your family history. So you genealogists know that you don't go looking for everybody. You look for one branch, see how far back you can go. What are their names? Where did they live? How did they contribute to community? And so on. And then, if you're like me, you hit a brick wall. At least in the United States, and I don't imagine it was much different in any of the other countries during the slave trade, but we weren't even recorded as human beings on a census with names and family relationships until 1870. And so when you want to know, when you do genealogy, which is the study of a person's history using oral and written records, you know, birth records, death records, census records, obituaries, military, all of those things, right? There's a gap. We just cannot know where specifically in Africa we came from, and that's our identity. That's part of our identity. Somebody came in and was talking about it has 3 different names. I was ear hustling, but she was talking about how she had 3 different names. That's 3 different ways that she refers to herself. And so genealogy only gets us but so far when we're researching our family history. So then genetic ancestry tracing came on the scene. And that's the same thing. It's the research of your family history, but using genetics, using biology to understand who came before you. Now, I'm not a geneticist, so this is going to be brief. DNA is found in every cell of our bodies. You've seen about it on TV, maybe if you took biology in high school. It's what makes us us. And 99.9% of every human's DNA is exactly the same. So when they talk about we're all human, we really are all human. But all of us don't have the same height, the same hair, definitely don't have the same hair texture, the same skin color, the same shape of our nose or our feet, our weight, our height. Even disease is coded within that difference. So while 99.9% are the same, in that less than 0.1%, we can find all of these differences and more. Are you with me? So ancestry is also something we can identify in the difference. So here's how it works. We each inherit 50% of our DNA from our mother, 50% from our father. If your mother's yellow and your father's blue, what color are you going to be here in the UK? Excellent. Okay, everybody's green in this room. So, we're green, but we have a yellow dot. We have a little bit of DNA that we inherited from our mother. It didn't turn green. It stayed yellow. That's called mitochondrial DNA. It's maternally inherited. You got it from your mother, it didn't change. She got it from her mother, it didn't change. She got it from her mother, so on and so on. For generations, 2,000 years, that yellow dot never changed. So everyone in here, you have the same mitochondrial DNA as your mother's 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 mother. That woman, if that lineage is African, who was stolen from the continent. It's exactly the same. Who are mothers? Who are the mothers in the room? You all passed it to your children. I know, Tessa, your daughter was here. Mariama, I'm assuming you're here with your mother. Yes, we met. You have the same, mothers passed it to our children because it's maternally inherited. I love this. It's like a disco show. I didn't take the test, and someone on the internet tried to clown me. Gina Paige never took her own test. How can you trust that company? My mother took it. I don't have to. Only one person on the lineage has to take it. And the results are the same for everybody in the family. And so our yellow dot was found to match Fulani people living in Nigeria today. Now this is, okay, now we're talking. Thank you. All right, I'm hyped. Okay, so you guys are educated. You know that there are Fulani people in Cameroon, in Senegal, in Mali, in Guinea, and all over. The Fulani are nomads. Well, our database is so extensive that we know that my signature matched with Fulani who are in Nigeria today, present day Nigeria, not present day anywhere else. All right, I know you brothers are like, what about us? But you know you can do the maternal line. Well, you can also do the paternal line. So we're going back to our lesson. Fellas, those who were assigned male at birth or intersex at birth. You are not there, no. You also have a blue dot. You have a little bit of DNA that you inherited from your father. It didn't change. It didn't mix. It stayed blue. And that's the Y chromosome. If you remember anything from biology, you remember that men have an X and a Y. We don't have that, ladies. That has the gene for leaving the toilet seat up. We don't have that gene. But our fathers do, our brothers do, you know. The men in our family do. And so it provides us with an informative record of our paternal line. This one branch, not everybody else, just this branch. Are you with me? Okay, I introduced y'all to my father, Jerome Paige. So he took the test because I couldn't, because I don't have a Y chromosome. And our DNA, paternal DNA, matches the house of people living in Nigeria today. So that's how it works, okay? The result doesn't always come back African. None of us really is 100% African if we are the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade. There was mixing that happened through no fault of our, no desire of our own for the most part. So this is Dr. Kittles. We traced his maternal ancestry and he shows off all the time because it's Mandinka. Never shuts up about his Mandinka ancestry. But only 92% of the people who take this test get an African result. Not if 100 people take the test, 92 of them have an African result. 6 of them have a European result, and then 2 of them are either indigenous or Middle Eastern or Asian or some other thing that they had no idea about, and now they're mad at us. Next time someone said, where is Robin? Next time somebody gets mad at me, I'm gonna send them a subscription to the Black Secret Education Project. But I understand, so I'm kidding, kinda. But listen, you buy a test called African Ancestry. You wanna know where you're from in Africa. And then I tell you, that line is not African. I see where you're a little confused and pissed. But you gotta understand history. We couldn't control that. And it doesn't matter whether you look like me or whether you look like my brother here behind the cameras. You do still have European ancestry somewhere in your body if your ancestors were enslaved. Now, Dr. Kittle's paternal line, he can't show off about, or he chooses not to show off about, because it's German. Now, in our disco presentation here, you can see that you would never guess that he had European ancestry. But he's from a small town in Georgia, which is in the United States, called Sylvania. And in Sylvania, there are black Kittles and there are white Kittles. And the white Kittles were German. And so there was a German male somewhere on Rick's paternal line. And that makes sense to everybody, right? Yeah. The history of those who enslaved and had their way with us leaves that legacy. So 35% of the paternal tests we do come back European, not African. I'm just gonna park that there. All right, now for my new British family members who did not take our tests, I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about the test you did take. So there's another test that doesn't look at the yellow or the blue like we do. They look at the green. They look at your entire genetic family tree. And then they compare you to people from all over the world and about 1,000 Africans. And then they say, you are some percentage African, some percentage everything else. And then within Africa, based on those 1,000 samples, they then give you a breakdown of different regions that they've decided are regions, quite like the Berlin Conference. And then they say, you are some percentage Nigeria, some percentage Mali. I don't know what Africa Southeastern Bantu is. Cameroon/Congo. So what you've gotten is a macro look at your entire family tree. And then when they drill down to Africa, in my opinion, because Africa is not important to them, they only had 1,000 people that they compared you to. So everybody basically finds out that they have West African ancestry. And so you could just spend 18 pounds today or $23 and get your subscription to the Black Secret Education Project, and then you don't have to take a DNA test if that's all you want to know, that you're West African. All right. That's true. So 20 years we've been in business. 5 years ago, a movie called Black Panther came out. And our business skyrocketed. It tripled. And it tripled for 2 reasons. One, in 2017, I finally decided to start doing Facebook advertising. And the second reason is Chadwick Boseman. The week that Black Panther was released, he went on a very popular show in the US. I don't know if he's popular here, the Breakfast Club. And this is what he said.
Wait, as an African American,
oh, hold on. Dang. Hold on. You can't hear him. I thought this was, but there's no speaker.
We can hear it.
You can hear it?
Yeah.
Y'all got good ears.
We can't be.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. I'm going to put this down here too. I can act it out too afterwards if you want.
Wait, as an African American, you're always going to feel like until you make that connection that there's a disconnect there. What I did is I took a DNA test.
Me too.
Yeah. So
I'm 97% East African, West African.
no, see, that's the wrong test.
Like
You took Ancestry.
yeah.
I took African Ancestry.
What's the difference?
So African Ancestry can tell you the specific ethnic group you come from. So not only, if you just know, the country, that's still the European borders to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But if you know that you're Yoruba from Nigeria, then you can now you can pinpoint specific customs and rituals that are part of your past. If I know that I'm Jola from Guinea-Bissau, I'm naming all the stuff that I found in mine. That I'm Limba from Sierra Leone.
Yes.
That's a more specific. I can go talk to somebody. There that specifically knows, this is your background.
I need to do that.
So guess what we did? I was on the phone like, thank you. For this, we consider him our angel investor. I got on the phone, on email, talk about Ubuntu or Unity. I was like, do you know Charlemagne? Do you know Charlemagne? I asked everybody, and 3 people away, I got to Angela Rye, who is very good friends with Charlemagne, and that's how we got to Charlemagne. So then we went on the show and revealed his results. And so that's such an exciting segue to why I'm here today. Part of why I'm here today is to do a reveal of the ancestries of 2 of your fellow community members. The first one you've seen running around with the camera and helping everybody with the computer is Danny Thompson of the Black I got a question first. I like to drag it out. So, what made you decide to take the testing?
Myself and my son, we've done DNA testing through Ancestry.com. So when I came across your organization, African Ancestry, which takes me closer to the core, it's like I had to jump on that. I just had to jump on that. So just thank you for your existing.
Okay, you're welcome. I'm grateful. Thank you. All right. So I would ask if you have any ideas about where you're from, but you kind of do because you took that other test, even though they only compared you to 1,000 Africans. We compared you to over 33,000 Africans from over 400 ethnic groups and 35 present-day countries, but mostly West and Central Africa. That's the concentration of our data on purpose. And so any ideas about where Danny is from? I got Cameroon, what else? Togo, Senegal, maybe you're Mandinka, Guinea-Bissau, okay. Who said Bioko Island? Is that your ancestry? Okay, well stand up, because this is your cousin. I'm so excited. Off of the coast of Equatorial Guinea. So Equatorial Guinea consists of mainland Equatorial Guinea. And then there are 5 islands. Where you see the star, there are 5 islands off the coast. And Bioko Island is actually closer to Cameroon than it is to Equatorial Guinea.
Man from Bioko.
Man from Bioko. But wait, I need that. You had that slide that said known for its biodiversity. It's a beautiful place where ecotourism is the main industry. The capital of Equatorial Guinea is Malabo, which is on Bioko Island. And you belong to the Bubi people.
Bubi! Bubi! How you mean?
And so the Bubi people are the indigenous people to the island. And we often see shared ancestry between Bioko Island and Cameroon because they're so close. So these ethnic groups are social and cultural groupings. They're not genetic. And so sometimes you find people who have the same genetics, but their ancestry is in different groups. Now, this is your certificate. Welcome to the African Ancestry family. And I want to say that maybe in 2003 or 2004, the BBC did a documentary called, yeah, listen, come up here and do this with me. Motherland, the Genetic Journey. And in that documentary, they tested 5 Black Brits. In fact, we did the testing. And one of them we traced to Bioko Island, and they invested in testing people on Bioko Island, and they found a match. And so the woman who was living here, I believe she was Jamaican by descent, she traveled there and they introduced her to that Bioko, that Bubi woman. So you should definitely watch that documentary. So congratulations, welcome to the African Ancestry family.
Danny from Bubi!
Reveal. I hope I have these in the right order. It was like a matrix. Well, in just a second. Is her father's maternal line. So her father is Vivian Robinson. His mother is Louisa Robinson. Her mother's mother's line. He took the test. Oh, and I must tell you, we're also the only company that destroys our customers' DNA. Yeah. We do not monetize it. So you don't have to worry about it being sold and used for other purposes. And so that branch of your tree, Priscilla, goes back to the country of Cameroon. Cameroon is known as Africa in miniature. They tell me everything you find around the continent can be found in Cameroon. Ecologically, food-wise, culture-wise, and within Cameroon, your maternal ancestors, your father's maternal ancestors are the Tikal people. This is your ancestry too.
Well, I know there's one thing, have a round face like me.
The Tikal are the artists and the artisans of the community. And he's been taking pictures and he's got that big old lens. I would argue to say you're an artist. Okay, nice. So then we also looked at your father's line because he had the yellow dot for his mother and the blue dot from his father. So this represents Priscilla, her father Vivian Robinson, his father Hilton Robinson, and his father going back 500 to 2,000 years. That ancestry we found in Europe. So you were part of the 35%. Portuguese man.
Yesterday we flew over Senegal, from Senegal to Spain, and I'm pointing to her and saying, look at Spain and Portugal, they're the first one to enslave us.
Literally, we just come back from the Gambia and Senegal less than 24 hours ago, and my dad literally on the plane was saying, look at Spain and Portugal, can you believe they were the first ones to enslave us? I'm really sorry, Dad.
All right. So you see how this can happen. Doesn't mean you're not black. Doesn't mean you're not African. You don't have any African ancestry. It just means that that branch, like all of us, there's a branch that goes back to Europe. Okay, so now we look. I forgot to put your mother's name. What's her name? Wendy Tomlin. So Priscilla's mother's father is Eroy Tomlin. His father's father's father. Are y'all with me? All these iterations? So we used her mother's brother. It's the economic capital of Cameroon. Cameroon has two capital cities, Yaoundé and Douala, just as it has two official languages, English and French. And so the Iwando people were the indigenous people in what is now Douala. Yes.
Where in the Caribbean is the family from?
So my dad's mother, Louisa Robinson, is from Dominica, a country next to St. Lucia. And then my dad's father is from Jamaica.
Right? We know her paternal great-grandfather's line is Spanish or British. Her paternal great-grandmother's line is from Cameroon, the Tikar people. Her maternal great-grandfather's line is also from Cameroon, the Iwando people. And now, her yellow dot, Priscilla took the test, so we got Priscilla, her mother Wendy Tomlin, her grandmother Mildred Briscoe, and on and on and on. Any guesses? Listen, it's Cameroon. This has never happened before, but I've never revealed 4 lineages for somebody, so this is the first. But in this case, her maternal, her yellow dot, goes back to 3 groups in northern Cameroon. The Mafa people, they're known for those conical dwellings. The Massa people, who are direct descendants of the Maasai, as you can see from the way she looks. And then the Kotoko people. They're all very, very small ethnic groups at this point. Very, very tiny. But they all, while they have different cultural practices, different languages, different beliefs or values, they have the same genetics. Are you with me? And so it is with great pleasure that I welcome you and all